SCP-096 is one of the most dangerous SCPs in SSRP, and there are a few tactics and mechanics that this guide talks about, such as recontainment, breaching, strategies, and more. SCP-096 is located in Lower Con X, near SCP-106's containment. 096 is a humanoid creature that usually spends its time in 096 containment inside of an airtight steel cube. Upon viewing its face, 096 will begin to cover its face, screaming and crying, until a few moments later, 096 will let out a roar, throwing its arms out and begin chasing 096-1. As displayed on the SCP team. 096 runs at incredible speeds, killing anyone who looks at its face during the chase, and also anyone who happens to be in the way. After all 096-1s have been terminated, 096 will return to a docile state. 096's containment is very unique and includes lots of safety measures and levels of security. When stepping into the containment area, you will be met with the chamber entrance, featuring a CD testing lineup area and 2 doors. The field equipment room has lockers, a desk, and a whiteboard with the paper on it. One of the lockers will have scrambler goggles equipable by MTF and RRT. This will also have a paper explaining the purpose of them. Stepping back into the chamber entrance, you will see a door on your left leading to the chamber hall, containing the shutters. The shutters are a safety measure that prevents the viewing of 096 through his entrance while a test is active. On the left, you will find a research room featuring cameras and controls to 096's containment chamber. On the control console, there will be instructions on how to recontain 096, and controls to the blinders, shutters, and the cage. In order to lift the cage, you will need to have both the shutters and the blinders closed. If you wish to see the inside of the containment area, you can use the cameras. You may open the shutters and the blinders only after the cage has been closed. Now we will be doing recontainment from 2 perspectives, the control perspective and like the actual bagging process perspective. So this first one here is the control perspective. So as you can see, I opened the shutters to let the MTF/RT unit in, and as you can see here, they enter the containment chamber, and now I close the shutters and then I close the blinders. So only after that happens, I can open the cage, and then after that I go to the cameras to see whenever they actually put 096 inside of the cage. And this is a pretty important step unless you just want to use the radio, because they could just tell you off of the radio, but I prefer using visual type of stuff. But as you can see, he puts it right in the middle, facing away, which is the perfect spot to put 096. And then after that, I close the cage and open the shutters and the blinders. And then after that, the MTF-RT unit exits the containment chamber, and that is recontaminating 096 from a control perspective. So now we're going into the bagging type of stuff perspective. So from the bagging perspective, I enter Lower Con X, and then I see that 096 is just out of this containment. And then I turn on my scramblers and head over to bag him. So making sure I'm staying behind him, so if my scramblers like ever failed, I wouldn't like immediately die. So after I bag him, I head over to 106's containment chamber, and then I open into the chamber hall. I am waiting here. Usually if you're not in like VC with anybody like inside of 196, you'd have to like put it through the radio. So yeah, just be wary of that, because they're probably not going to know if you're there or not. So they close the shutters and the blinders, and now they can open the cage. And now, as you can see, I stop for like right before the red line, and that is the perfect spot to put him straight in the middle, facing away, and then I unbag him and I just wait here. So now in the radio, you probably just have to put like 096 is in place or something, or if you're looking at the cameras, just step out and wait for a second. And that is 096's recontainment. Pretty easy, not too hard, so yeah, pretty nice. Now we will be talking about some mechanics with 096. So these are some features and like or discrepancies that you might run into while playing the game. Our first type of error here is when 096 is in a very dangerous spot inside of his containment chamber. This happens when 096 isn't recontained properly and is faced towards the door, and sometimes his face can even be sticking through the wall, as you can see here. So that means anybody unprepared is pretty prone to viewing 096's face as soon as the shutters are actually open. And as you can see here, my friend goes inside of 096's containment chamber without scramblers on, and as you can see, he stops and starts running away. So now, since he's an SCP, I can kill him. And as you can see down there, he is on the SCP team since he looked at 096. And a good way to prevent breaches during tests is to just immediately terminate anybody that is like trying to breach him. So that could be like a Class D sitting right next to the closed shutters, trying to get him to breach, or just any Foundation that's like accidentally looked at him. You could easily just kill him right there. Another mechanic that he has is when he is enraged. And as you can see, only one of us are 096-1, and that is the person at the front. And we were technically in 096's path, which causes us to die as soon as he kind of like goes through us. So even though we're not on the SCP team, even though we didn't look at his face, we can still die because we were in his path. So especially if you're in like tight areas, when a 096-1 is running past you, make sure to like hug the wall so he doesn't like go through you and kill you. Now we will be talking about breaching. You may only breach 096 as CI and CD. So when I step inside of the control room, you can notice here that I can actually open the cage without the shutters and blighters being closed. That is one thing CI can do that nobody else can. And from here, you can see that he looks at 096 and then becomes 096-1, and then we start running way. And preferably you'd want the lift to be down and lower whenever you're trying to breach him, but unfortunately as of right now the lift wasn't there. So we're gonna use a little strategy here. We're just gonna, so we kind of improvised here. So since we had 2 CI and I hadn't looked at him yet, he went behind me, and then after he died I looked at him, and then he started to go inside of his enraged state again. Make sure you look at him after 106 becomes docile, because if you look at him like as he's chasing, he's just going to keep going and kill you. So now I've gotten to get a little bit of more range here since we have 2 CIs, and I managed to make it up to the lower connex door, and then I face him right there, which is a really good spot to put him when you don't have that much time. And yeah, that leads us to our next segment, just kind of like a mini chapter where to put him and stuff like that. So a good place to put him is down long corridors. So for example, the 457 to lower connex corridor, he's like facing, so as you can see here, he's facing towards the corner. So whenever anybody goes around, 196 will just be there, and then they'll look at his face. Another good place to put him is behind a door. So as soon as someone opens a door, they will instantly enrage him. There is a decent way to avoid this. It's just not look straight into a door. You can also listen for his ambience. So if you hear his ambience and it's not in his actual containment cell, that means he's breached, and you probably should open that door with caution. That was the 096 guide. Tell me which SCP to do next, because I'm planning on doing like a big series with all of the Connex type of SCPs and maybe some of the Con 2 SCPs. Hope you guys enjoyed. That was the guide, and I'll see you guys in the next video. See you.